Rockefeller becomes president, sets up a national emergency, and declares martial law. These 500 ex-FBI and CIA men had banded together because mind control was in use then. Several of their friends who worked in agencies had their minds erased and were dumped out on the streets. Do you hear me?
Yes.
They send them on secret assignments, and to make sure no one ever figures it out, a lot of the agents, their minds were erased, dumped on the streets. They didn't know what their name was, what their wife's name was, or where they lived. Well, to some, and this may be hard for you to believe, for some patriotic people who were in the FBI and CIA, this wasn't what they joined up to see. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
And so, therefore, being some of their friends, they banded together against the powers in this country. At that time, it was the Rockefeller brothers. And Nelson, as you well know, got as far as the vice presidency. He was on his way to the presidency, but he was stopped, mainly through Dr. Beter's revelations. And, of course, he was backed by 500 ex-FBI and CIA men giving him constant information. That's what is on those 80 tapes. Early, I think it was 1980, Dr. Beter released the information that the Russians had gone under California in submarines and placed huge cobalt bombs. Also inland, they went to abandoned mine shafts on the San Andreas and placed more cobalt bombs. Periodically, they were setting them off, usually between about 5.8 and 6.2 on the Richter scale. What was their ultimate plan?
Earthquake.
To eventually destroy the coast of California, thereby crippling the USA. If you don't know anything about body language, there's no use for you looking into Putin's eyes on the evening news, is there? Mark Phillips asked me last time I was at his house, we were discussing things. He said, have you ever seen a scarier set of eyes than Putin's? I said, not in my lifetime.
Miss Al?
Yes?
I was watching real quick, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I was watching a special on Channel 10 not 2 weeks ago, and they were interviewing the largest missile silo control people in Russia.
Yes?
Every single one of them who had the keys, they said, when the order comes, we will not hesitate. They didn't say if.
I thought the Cold War was over. I thought it's a new world. What have I said since the last time I saw you? I stated it. You may not have picked up on it. People will fire questions. I don't answer with all the details. I look and watch people and see what they can handle. I've said from the beginning, Russia is playing the new world order as a wild card. They will double-cross when the moment is right. Laser telemetry from satellites activates the bombs. When they are ready, guess what? From San Francisco down around the Salton Sea, get a map. Do you know where the Salton Sea is?
No.
Get a map. When Paula was up in a plane over California coming to meet me at an expo, she said it sure was scary. She had asked me 10 times whether she should come into California to see me at the expo. I said, don't be afraid. The time isn't right. I'm in California, and if I didn't know what I was doing, I wouldn't be there at that time. She said it was a scary sight going up in Los Angeles, looking down over Southern California, knowing that California will go into the Salton Sea. How do you think I found that out? Now, you be careful with what I'm about to say, because you see, the wisdom of being a teacher is I give you as much as you need to know, but not enough to destroy you. Do you hear me? If you want me to give you a load, I could put concrete on your head till it drives your nose down into the top of your shoes. But it wouldn't help you, because I'm not sure they make stretchers to get you back together again. So I give you more than anyone else has, but not enough to run around and open up your mouth and say to the wrong person, did you know Al said such and such? And you won't say it correctly, and you won't sit down and teach it verse by verse, and it's not meant for everyone. The same grave that will be opened first at the resurrection was a man who gave prophecies and never failed one time, no matter what they say in Bible bookstores, no matter what they say on the internet. He never missed one time. His prophecies were so accurate, and if you know, just keep it to yourself while you're sitting there. He would tell people their first name, their last name, and their street address to any stranger in the world when they first walked up to him before he prayed for them, and he never missed. Even in other countries, he would look up and spell their name off of the vision and their street address, including the numbers, and he never missed once. He stood in California with his son years ago. He said, read those 2 street signs. Thus saith the Lord, the sharks will swim there before you're an old man. And that was 35 years ago, and that's 3.5 decades. Did you hear me?
Yes.
If you figure it out, don't tell anyone. Just keep it to yourself. And if you don't track what I'm saying, all you have to do is wait. What's going to happen in Las Vegas? How big an earthquake will it be? In Alaska, was that 65? In Alaska, when Anchorage, do you ever see those pictures in Life magazine where some of the main street dropped 50 to 75 feet?
Yeah.
It shook the earth so bad a tidal wave went across the Pacific and hit Japan. Did you ever read that?
Yes.
Did you ever read how high the water was? That was just an earthquake. This is going to be a great earthquake. You see, they got a wake-up call in New York. I've been up there, photographed extensively. There's 666 3rd, there's 666 5th, there's 666 Broadway. He gets tired of that stuff, do you hear me?
Yes.
What do you think the Lord thinks about Hollywood's blasphemous movies? They don't get a second chance, did you hear me? There is no forgiveness when you blaspheme the Holy Ghost. You're finished. California goes first. Why do they have names out there like Sacramento? Who founded Sacramento? Where'd that word come from? You ever done any history on the state of California? Who founded those early missions there? Go get you an encyclopedia and begin to read. Guess what Russia is about to do to the United States? And we'll cover it. Hidden in here about 4 times the Los Angeles quake. Only recently was I able to put some things together. I'll give you one here because I hear people thinking a couple thousand miles from me. You hear me?
Yeah.
I used to take the Hebrew word for earthquake and go to the chapter to see if I could find anything. I bet I went there 7 or 8 times and never could find anything. I'm flipping over there. Let's see if I made a note. I took the Hebrew word for earthquake, got its numerical value, and I ran it to its matching chapter. We're heading towards the book of Psalms, and in Psalms 92, if you'll go to Psalm 92, you are in the 570th chapter in your Bible from Genesis. I repeat, I have infallible proofs that the chapters are inspired.
Yes.
And their divisions. People only put the numbers where the subject matter changed naturally. I have never said the verse numbers are inspired, and they were done by different people at different times. In Psalm 92, you are at chapter 570. If you want to look in Tracy's old code book, in the 570s, there is a word which is actually one of the 22 Hebrew letters, and it's spelled R-A-A-S-H. Now, resh is a Hebrew word. You can look it up in a concordance and see what it means. Many places in the Bible, resh pulls up at the chapter that deals with Russia, which I will show when I do those one chapter for each year of the 1900s. R-A-A-S-H means to quake. So I often knew there was something hidden here in Psalm 92, but it's a little vague, and I didn't teach it to anyone because it's not detailed enough to repeat. Notice that when you can change the spelling, but you're still using the same letters. R-E-S-H-A means wicked or iniquity, and that's a 570 word, of course. When you're in Psalm 92, I like this in verse 5. You like this verse, Ira? O Lord, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are what?
Very deep.
Very deep. If you're a shallow Bible student, you will get nowhere. Verse 7, when the wicked, what does R-E-S-H-A, value 570 mean? Wicked or iniquity. Watch. When the wicked springeth the grass, and when all the workers of iniquity do flourish. Are we in the right chapter?
Yes.
The Bible code is always in order. It is that they shall be destroyed forever. Verse 9. Well, let's read verse 8. But thou, Lord, art most high forevermore. Verse 9, for lo thine enemies, O Lord, for lo thine enemies shall perish, all the workers of, repeat, iniquity shall be scattered. Verse 11, mine eyes shall see my desire on my enemies, and mine ears shall hear my desire of the wicked that rise up against me. So there are some things here, but look in the shadow chapter, chapter 93. The floods have lifted up. Is this past tense? The floods have lifted up. The floods lift up their waves. Verse 4. The noise of many waters, mighty waves of the sea. The earthquake that will go off may be a 12. If it's a 12, it'll probably shake about half the earth. I wonder what they'll do surfing out there in that island about halfway between the USA and China.
Whoa.
I hope they're up on the top of one of those mountains. That's all I can say. I rented a video from the library on tsunamis. It was pretty scary how high they can go when there's something major. This will shake the whole realm down through Central America. All those shanties in Mexico will fall to pieces. I warned the people in Florida 3 years ago. I said, when it goes, you watch and see if that big wave doesn't rise up and come across the Gulf. On the main body of Florida, not up in the northern part, but on the main part, it is only 50 feet above sea level.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think will go on? Hey, let's bring it. Oh, by the way, let me get this chapter for you. When we were doing our study the other day on angels, you probably forgot the main Hebrew word for angel is M-A-L-A-K. It has a value of 91. And when we did our angel study, I took you to the most quoted verse in the Bible about angels, Psalm 91:11. Now what do we have right beside the quake chapter in Psalm 92? We have the word angel. Hey, this is one of 4. What does Los Angeles mean?
Los Angeles?
The angels. So there are more places. And the one in 2001 is the scariest because it says the angels. I have a chapter which lines up with 2001, and I looked today for a Spanish Bible. There wasn't one. I'll find one here in a week or two because I can imagine how it's written in a Spanish Bible when it says the angels. It probably says Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to tell you some more. I didn't think we'd go 3 hours, but we're getting close, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to take a break? Do I need to get off here? What do we need to do?
Keep going.
Keep going.
In the church age, there were 7 churches. unknown to the men who found this secret at the turn of the century, realizing there were 7 very distinct periods of church age history that masked the 7 churches. They didn't realize that God had sent one man to each of those periods. Paul in the first one, Irenaeus in the second one. You see, the Reformation revolved around one person. You see, the holiness movement that followed the Reformation revolved around one person. There were only 7 of those men in the church age. Now, you see, when you go to Revelation 1, when we began the mystery of the 7 churches, the 7 church age mystery, which is defined in Revelation 1:20, included not only the name of the churches, but it was the 7 golden candlesticks, and above the 7 golden candlesticks there were 7 stars, and the 7 stars denoted the angels. So church age history for 2,000 years, Ephesus, Smyrna, and so forth, were a perfect pattern of 7 different periods of time in church age history. But there was one man sent to each period in that church age history to direct the church, and over that man there was an angel watching over him. Do you see how simple that is? But notice that when the real, all 7 of these church age messengers will be up. One of them will have to be up first. He'll call up the other 6. Those men will call up all the church age people from their day. Are you listening to me?
Mm-hmm.
So when the real stars are rising, the false stars will be descending. Did you get it? There will be a resurrection. If you don't believe me about, I know which grave will be open first, you can check within a week, and you can check on, well, I don't know if you can check while you're in Las Vegas. I have a feeling the buildings are going to stone the adulterers in Las Vegas. You'll find out within a week or two that John Wesley's crypt in England will be open. I didn't say that was the first one. He's one of those messengers. Martin Luther, wherever he's buried, he will be up. Do you follow me? When the real stars rise, the false stars will be sinking, because the false stars live in Los Angeles. The people that everyone looks up to and thinks they're so great are the filth of the world.
Yes.
A bunch of fornicating adulterers, a bunch of blasphemous, drunken drug users. That's all they are. And so while the people are aghast as they're sinking, the real stars will be rising the very same moment. Let's not only take a break, let's call it a day and the end of the Bible study. Is that okay? There is more, but let's save it to when I see you.
Okay.
Or else you can come over to my house any day you want to.
Cool. We're gonna get a caravan.
But I don't know about flying United.
Hey, Al.
Yes.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Where of the plate that shifted in Afghanistan, near the Pakistan border, before they went over there pounding on the place with bombs?
You say the plates did shift?
Yeah, there was a plate over there that shifted, and I caught it one night on CNN, and it said it shifted so far that they expect a 12-point plus earthquake. Around within 30 days, they're over there bombing on the place. This was shortly after the 9/11.
Well, we have geophysical warfare capability. I think the Chinese have it, but then again, the Russians I heard about, 20 years. So there's some very advanced things going on. Of course, we create some things through HARP. I've even read a little bit about some capability for earthquake. So there's a verse in Revelation which is very important. I'm getting tired. I've been up since 5. It's 11 here. You can look it up when I get off here. But in the book of Revelation, he says, I will destroy them that destroy the earth. So guess what they're doing with their geophysical warfare?
Yeah.
And their pollution and their biological nonsense. He says, I will destroy them that destroy the earth. So, yes, he has judgment coming. But they would, you see, if he didn't intervene, that's what it means. unless those days would be shortened, there would no flesh be saved, talking about in Matthew 24. If he didn't intervene into world events here to come to overthrow the Antichrist and his empire, why, before they're finished, there wouldn't be anyone alive. You get it?
Yes.
With all the maddening things that they have created. I mean, it's let alone nuclear and biological. When you get this geophysical warfare stuff, that gets pretty scary. So, I hope you enjoyed the Bible study. I didn't tell you everything you wanted to know, but I hope you got the outline. It is so important that there are 3 parts to the first resurrection. There's a come up hither for each of them. By studying the patterns, you will realize there has to be a great earthquake. At the same moment there's an earthquake, there has to be a resurrection. I'm not the only one in the world that knows who's coming up first in the resurrection. I'm not the only one in the world that knows what preacher prophesied doom on California. And if anyone quotes it, they're quoting him when he said, if God doesn't sink California into the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, he will be required to raise up Sodom and Gomorrah and give them an apology.
Oh, I've heard that.
But where is it traced to? And he said, thus saith the Lord, it will sink. So we are close. And I guess you'll think a little bit more about where you live. And it's a good thing we started these Bible studies early, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as we go down the wire towards the next year. And hey, when you're concerned and when you're anxious about something, the best thing to do is make sure you're living right, you're living close, you don't have secret sins in your life, and you pray about things. Do you hear me? And you cannot read this word enough. Would you agree on that, Ira?
Yes.
And listen, I'll be here next week, and Ira, I'll send you some notes, and Stu wants them too, on some programs to get up on the computer. And of course, when the time's right, I think a Bible study will become more interesting, because I have a lot of articles and pictures and outlines to go with these Bible studies, and maybe it'll come alive for you. Appreciate you asking me over there to your little Bible study, and I'll talk to you next week, okay?
Alrighty.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks.
Later. Bye-bye.
Bye.